This is To Catch a Con Man, Season 2, In the Victim's Voices. I will take you on another fascinating journey, but this time you will hear from other men and women that, like me, have fallen prey to the various cons, scams, and deceits by one of the most prolific and successful con artists to live and operate in the Midwest. You know him as Ricky Dugo.
Could $100,000 sustain my life? It couldn't even come close. So listen to me. If I was going to be in some sort of con, scam, conniving thing, it'd be for millions. It wouldn't be for $100,000.
To Catch a Con Man is brought to you by Studio 847 in Long Grove, Illinois. Listener discretion is advised, as some of this programming contains language and content that might be offensive to some listeners.
Join me on this adventure to catch a con man. This is Adam Albin.
Thank you for listening to Season 2 of To Catch a Con Man, In the Victim's Voices. In Part 1 of Ron's very raw and personal story, you find that he is another victim that falls prey to Ricky Dugo's famous car wash partnership scam. In Part 2 of this story, Ron finally figures out that everything Dugo has pitched to him has all been a sham. Can Ron find the courage and figure a way out of being under the weight of Ricky Dugo? Here we go, Part 2 and the conclusion of Ron's story.
So all in, Ron, what would you say? Give me a number that, like, if you had to guess.
Yeah, if I did get, like, now are we talking, like, including my credit?
Everything, all in, everything.
Oh, jeez. Between me and my mom, because we're a unit, you know, obviously my mother. So let's go with a $300,000 house, say. Let's go with, well, we're going to say $100K cash. It might be less than that. It might be a little more. I'd have to really. So that's, and then say another $300,000 boat-ish. I don't remember per se. It might be 200, might be 180, might be 400, but these aren't normal boats here that we're talking, what he's driving in. And then, you know, a couple motorcycles and a few cars. So, and these are Mercedes, Range Rover, Lexus style cars. So, you know, $100,000 each car, 1, 2, 3, say, you know, $50,000 worth of motorcycles and Rolexes, I believe, 300 for the house. We're talking like $1 million, dude. Not with credit and cash that he you know, grabbed just from me and my mom, because these are big items here we're talking.
It's unbelievable. I'm so sorry that it happened to you.
It's crazy. It's disgusting. You know, and I'm sorry too. Sorry, I'm such an idiot, to be honest. I'm so gullible and naive, and yeah.
So
it was my fault. It was my fault.
So I mean, I'm not saying that you weren't trying to make a name for yourself or make a buck, but I don't put any of this on you, Ron. Let's go back, and at what point after all of these months, the 6-8 months, you said you started not to feel so good about the deal. You know, you're heavily involved in some drugs with this guy. He's keeping you medicated, it sounds like.
Yeah.
At what point does the light bulb go off?
Because I noticed it. Well, number one, because, like, you know, I'm living, but I'm not adding value to my, you know, I'm living very good, but there's no, like, growth with finance. I'm not saving anymore. Like, you know, I'm not paying he's also paying my bills now. So, like, the new car that I got, as well as the cars the stuff that got put in my mom's name, he's paying us for that, you know, and he's also, like, throwing extra money at us. So he did a good job of recycling the money to where it was, like, good, I guess, for me to be fine with it. And then what really was, I'd say, besides like the car washes not opening and not getting actual paychecks and, you know, the realness of not working in a sense. You know, I'm not working, I'm just hanging out and helping him with what he wants me to help him with. That's now I'm starting to get a feeling, and then I start to put a few things together as far as some of the people that are his buddies are actually his victims too. One guy would really, in the beginning, he helped this dude out, Ryan, and Ryan had, you know, looking back at Ryan had the last boat that Rick had was in Ryan's name. So hearing and seeing and I realized Ryan was maybe not his friend. And so then Ryan there's another kid, I left him out of it for some reason, and I don't know, he was like, maybe they were trying to con him to realize he didn't have any money or whatever it was, and Ryan told this kid to tell me, watch out for Rick, he might not be what you think he is, or something along that. So that was said to me, but that was said to me like prior to when I said, oh crap, this isn't what I think it is. It was said to me, and I was like, no way. Like I almost got defensive for Rick. Like, so, but, and then once I realized stuff's not looking the way it should look, then I realized that, oh man, with that kid, I don't know what his name, maybe Jacob, but the message Ryan was telling Jacob to tell me was actually true. But, you know, I'm not committed here, so, you know, and Rick's my boy, so, you know.
Does the...
I believe you.
Yeah.
You know, stop talking crap about Rick. Would be my approach, you know.
Could is that Ryan's last name, Dolan?
Yeah, that sounds right. It sounds right.
Big cigarette boat, total confusion. Guy got taken for a boat. The boat went missing because the boat was stolen by another victim of Rick's that stole the boat and chopped it up into pieces. Another story for another day.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
I know this. Nothing surprises me.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that, but you know, I don't, you know.
Yeah. All right. So things aren't adding up, Ron. And so what do you do?
Well, I then ask him, and it's denial. And then he never fully said that. He never came out. He never told me, yep, I'm ripping you off. Never. And yeah, so it was never him saying it, was me actually realizing that this is going nowhere. You know, it's going nowhere. If I would question him on it, it would turn it around and put it back on me. You know, I would feel guilt. You know, the psychology and the mind tricks and the control that he had over me. At that, once I realized, oh crap, this isn't a good scenario, and look what I put myself and my mom through, and now I got no outs. He would like flip it around, and like I would end up feeling wrong, and like I did something wrong, or I'm guilty, or I should, you know, even though like, no, this isn't right. It was, yeah, looking back, mind blowing, but at a vulnerable state, and then when you're not committed, you can't turn around. You know, questioning him isn't going to do any good. He's going to flip it around on you. So, you know, I tell my mom that this isn't what I think it is. What are you going to do? I don't know. You know, what do? I go to the police, you know, and, you know, I went to the police with my mom, I believe, for the first time. And they, you know, what am I going to do? You know, was my position.
So what did the police do?
They took a report, and that's it. At that point, they took a report.
And you went in there saying, this guy, Rick Dugo, he's stolen like $1 million from me and my mom, and they took a report, and that's it? Yeah, we went in a room. I talked for a minute. My mom talked for more than a minute, and then their advice was, you got to get out of there, to me. And then I remember, like, that week, they're like,
around more in the streets of Addison. And I'm still driving to Rick's house after a night of partying. And I remember I get pulled over. And this is after I go to the police station that week or so. And I'm going there and I'm like, oh crap, I'm getting pulled over. That's never good. And like, let me throw, that's a little after too. At the same time, I mean, my life is just crumbling to where around the same time, a little after that, I get my first DUI, while I'm still out in Addison. So like, I'm losing my money. I've lost my purpose. I got no outs. I'm trapped in this, this situation. I'm trapped because I'm trying to figure out how do I get my money back, or what do I do? What's my next move here? A lot of things are going through my head. What could be the next move? And I don't know what it is. And meanwhile, I'm just going to coast and live the life until I figure out. So there's that stalling. So anyway, so the police officer that pulled me over was one of the dudes I was talking to. And he said, hey man, I'm going to let you go, but he just let me go. And then I went to Rick's house and, did whatever we were doing at that moment. So I remember that just because it was the same guy that I spoke with at the police station that pulled me over. And it was like that week. So that sticks out for sure. Rick went from using tactics of love, of excitement, of guilt, and then of fear, because Rick's a big aggressive guy, and if he gets mad at me, I'm done. I lose everything. What do I do? Right? I can't sue him because he's a bust. He has no money. I can't physically attack him because him got ties. He was a massive dude, and I really didn't, I couldn't handle my own with him at that time. And they got my money. Like, what am I, like, I had no, and I'm young, and then what am I going to go to? So it's like, there's a state of limbo of like me being stagnant because I'm like frozen in my tracks. I can't get out of I can't get out. The money's already invested. It's like I'm holding on, hoping for something, but nothing's coming, And then it's like, where do I go and what do I do? Everything's on credit. Everything's falling apart. And I had no angle. I had no win. I'm faced with like the consequences of what I did. So what do? I delay and I just stall because I'm also still partying and there's some benefits still going on. So I stall until I realize that I just got to get out, I think I go to the police one more time, and then I'm like strategizing, like, what do I do? So first I on the exit, I'm talking to mom. I'm letting her know this, I'm sorry. I completely effed everything up. Finances, our lives, and, but I don't, so my mom's just like, come home, doesn't matter, just come home. And she knows too that I'm not right mentally, because, besides the circumstance, I'm also, partying it up with Chuck every night, every 4 nights,
Yeah, you're strung out.
I'm like, so I'm like strung out in this weird position. So I don't know what to do. So I'm like, okay, my strategy is to gather as much assets as I can and just dip out, So I think I got a rental truck, and a gun. Had it, just because stuff it was dangerous. Now it's like the fear's kicking in of, okay, this is going to get physical to a bad extent, or, I'm probably not going to get any money here. I'm not going to get any business. The police aren't going to be able to sue, or, from what I gather, it's not a crime to completely rip somebody off. You know, you can take somebody's money and not get punished for it, because that's what was happening to me. And what I realize now, years and years of victims, and then now what I realize too, years and years after me too. So my plan is just to get out. So I, you know, grabbed as much cash and assets out of the house as I could, and on Mother's Day got my last little, you know, it's disgusting to even say, but little bag of crack. Went home, that week of Mother's Day, I want to believe it was, had a house to myself, smoked it all into oblivion, and then just started from scratch again, you know, in every way. Well, no, not start from scratch. Now I'm going through the process of creditors and then bankruptcy, and my mom bankruptcy, and, you know, dealing with a DUI at that moment too, and no license, and so it's like a big muck. You know, I realize asking and trying to pursue anything through Rick is going to get me nowhere, you know, at this point. He'll talk circles around me and, you know, install as much fear on my life, my mother's life, and what could happen and what he could do. You know, and the mafia ties and the people he knows and power that he has was crippling to the point where I couldn't think, couldn't process, didn't know what to do. And, you know, I think the departure took too long, but it was probably the best bet, you know, of what I did. It just completely left the house, left the cars, left it all, except for anything that I could currently hold. You know, I took a TV, I took, you know, the cash that was being used and recycled back to me instead of, you know, making payments, and I was just trying to save it at this point, because I'm now towards the end, I'm starting to ding on some credit, you know, and I have no job too now, because it's been months and months, and I'm just dedicated to Rick and the lifestyle and the car washes and the life we're living. So, you know, I have no job, so I'm trying to take now. I'm like, okay, I gotta do a little money grab as much as I can, so I can have just any type of asset to eat and live, because I had no job and anything else. So, yeah, sorry I went down on a little tangent there. But
it's all good, man. I love it.
It's also popping in my head, like, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating when it pops in my head, because, you know, I don't want to say it was a good thing, because it wasn't a good thing, but it also gave me an opportunity to reshape my life, gain some mental strength, emotional strength, you know, sharpen up some things to build confidence, to make sure that I'm a secure man now and can, you know, not get taken advantage of in any way.
Right. So
if that didn't happen, that it wouldn't. But, you know, my accountant even said, never thought you would ever come remotely close to coming back from this. This could break somebody. And I it hurts me knowing that there's other people out there, and, you know, not to go down this path, but, you know, I'm married, I have a couple kids, I'm doing well for myself. So, like, I overcame. I built from this, but I know, and you know how I overcame too, which is kind of crazy? I met the right person. I met a dude that took me under his wing, built me up mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and got me to where I am now. So I didn't even do it on my own. I found a true mentor, and he got me there. So that's kind of ironic too, because, you know, you can't trust anybody, but, you know, but you need people. You know, you need a good person in your life. You need a leg up. You need someone that's genuine and true. So it's like discernment of knowing who's who. And that was probably the biggest, my biggest fault. Having a want, because when I met the new person, I still had a want. I still needed an avenue, and he gave me one that was real and legit. So it's like the real Rick, who Rick tried to be. That's who this dude was. It minus the fruits. He had a wife and a child. He didn't go out clubbing and womanizing. He drove a modest car and lived in a modest house rather than vets and Mercedes and mansions. So it was like, you know, a genuine person rather than a manipulator. So, yeah. hit that real quick. But.
No, that's wild. I want to ask you something. Was there ever a point, Ron, when you thought about or contemplated like taking your life?
Not for long, but yeah. Not for an extensive period of time. Not like, okay, I'm gonna, the thought of me blasting Rick and then blasting myself was there, but I didn't dwell on that because I have a mother that loves me, and I could never do that.
Right.
But yeah, that thought, because I'm now drugged up. I lost everything. I have no sense of pride. I have no outs. I have a DUI. Like I'm a bust.
Yeah,
I'm a
dude.
complete failure, and I wasn't before this.
Right.
I had assets. I had rental properties that I had to get rid of when I went bankrupt. I had, I was doing good. I was doing good. I was in a business that wasn't working, but I was doing good for myself at a young age. I got a little too hungry, I guess, and.
It's okay to be hungry, man. It's another thing when you when you meet somebody that pulls the wool over your eyes and takes you for a ride that you have no idea is coming, and I don't think any of us really, we definitely don't see it. He has such a big personality. He has a facade. He has this image of burgeoning success. He has the personality, he backs it up, so it's just like, we're all wearing blinders. So don't get mad at yourself about it. It's really good to hear that you found a real mentor, that you found the other way out. So you did have to file bankruptcy. Both you and your mom had to file bankruptcy. How long did you have to pay off your bankruptcies? Was it like you filed bankruptcy and then you were okay?
So I lost my license with the DUI, and then I went, obviously, bankrupt with everything. The FBI came over to the house and talked with my mom and I, so that was good because then I had this guy's card, and then the bankruptcy was, there's two types, and I was able to get accepted where they basically washed off all of my debts. So, but I had no home. My mom did a bankruptcy and kept the house that she had paid off. And then she ended up short selling it later because there was a market crash and, but down the road, all the cars and the debt that I was in was all forgiven through Chapter 7 or Chapter 13, whichever one forgives it. And I had a good, I also went to, I went downtown, sat in a room, me and my mom was interviewed because I was under the hook of a boat, or my mom was under the hook of some, whatever that boat was, how much, 300, 400, 200, boats can be expensive, and this is a top-of-the-line cigarette boat, these things can go $500,000. So she's on the hook for that. I'm on the hook for Mercedes and a Porsche and some motorcycles that are not around anymore because Rick pawned them or whatever he did. He was the same thing with the Rolexes. I guess he did the same thing with motorcycles. But, I'm leading up to that, I'm driving a motorcycle. I'm, driving a Lexus. I'm wearing Rolexes. I'm going. So it was good at the moment. So as far as the bankruptcy goes, no work. I don't have anything put on my resume for the past 8 months or however long this happened, this whole process. I have no leads for work. I have no money. I have no credit. And I have no license. And then I just dip out, basically. So.
Let's go back real quick, Ron. You said you and your mom met with the FBI. What happened with the FBI?
They came to my mom's townhouse. Two guys. I think I was talking to cops 2 times before this. Then the 2 FBI agents came to the house. I felt really good when they left. Like, we're getting this guy. This guy deserves. He's the parasite. You know, he's a true cancer, and he's dangerous. Anybody, when it's this class of person, and again, you know, what I was looking for, wasn't seeking the right things. I wasn't seeking a person that was married with kids, with love. I was seeing the Rolex and the Corvette, and the lifestyle blinded me, and I was looking for the wrong things. But anybody, to his malfunction of life, anybody that he crosses, he does damage to. So everybody around Rick is a victim. No matter who you are, you're a victim on it.
Right.
Yeah. What was the question, Adam? Because I don't know why.
Yeah, Rob. The question was about the FBI. It was just I wanted to get your feel for how you felt. Did they ever follow up? Who was the FBI agent? You happen to remember his name? You know, stuff like that.
Yeah, there was I don't remember the name. I remember sitting at the table, took the story, and then basically said, "We're getting this guy." You know, there's, you know, basically assured me that they're going for him, and they feel they have a strong case, and they're gathering information. There's other victims. There's a lot of other victims. We're on him, and you know, my mom and I felt like, okay, well, this is, at least he's going to stop, you know, and this is good. So I don't remember the guy's name. I had a card. I don't remember who I gave it to or what, you know. But I also, you know, he's the FBI agent was, I think, in the police reports helped me through the bankruptcy because there wasn't, you know, I had a case here where of forgiveness. I had a good, strong hardship situation. That's what it was, hardship.
Hardship, yeah.
That I was able to be forgiven for all that. So, but that doesn't help my credit. It doesn't help anything. You know, it just gets me off the hook of the debt. So that was eliminated. Yeah, and the FBI just assured me that they're going to get him. I think I, you know, followed up with them a few times, and then so I met with the police twice. The FBI came to my house, and then later on, maybe through you, the vigilante that you have been, maybe through you, another police officer to call me, and then I went in for another interview. But I remember feeling bad at that interview because it was a fog, and I couldn't remember names. I couldn't remember. It was a long time, and it's one of those things too where, you know, it's such a hard, difficult thing that you block some of it out, and then, you know, my memory's not too good to begin with also, and I was also under a mental state of chaos and drugs and confusion to begin with, so it was hard to articulate details. I know that the first time probably was a little more clear. The second, when after I met with the FBI agent, that was after, and they're still, you know, going for this guy, and at that time I'm like, you know, he's too good at what he does, and it's not a crime, I guess, to rip people off, which is weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
And then, so I'm thinking, okay, this guy's evaded millions in tax, and I would, looking at it now, I don't know how old Rick is. You know, I don't know much about him because he's all fake, but I don't know, when I was, what is he, maybe 10 years older than me?
Yeah,
when I was in the mid-20s, he was in his 30s, or was he in his 40s? I don't know.
He was born in 1967, so he's 56, 57 right now.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So when I was in my 20s, he was in his 30s or 40s, early 40s or late 30s or something like that ish.
Yeah, you were born what in the 70s?
81.
Okay.
81.
Yeah, so he would have been almost in his 40s.
Okay.
Yeah, and he used to lie. That was always his thing. Women, he used to say to every woman that he was 10 or 15 years younger than he was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, with steroids, Botox, and hair dye.
Yeah.
With a full head of hair, he pulled it off. You know, he stayed in great shape, and you know, he's able to pull it off. And then you're so excited because he's like a celebrity. Like the appeal is like, oh, you know, you overlook things because, you know, if you look at them, maybe you get it. But you know, all those things can mask, you know, the whole what are they, the sheep, the wolf in sheep's fur or something like that, right?
Wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah.
Yeah, there he is.
You may hear me cut a few parts of this conversation out, as an allegation that is so shocking and severe is detailed out that I needed to refer this information back to law enforcement, as this is the second time this same allegation has been made by two separate financial crime victims that were very close to Ricky Dugo in the early to mid 2000s. I simply can't talk about it on this podcast, as it goes above and beyond the story of just being a career con man and scammer.
Potentially, like something like that does not have a statute of limitations attached to it. So like a crime like that happened, that they could still go back and look into. Let's continue on.
Sorry, that was a big blow in the gut for me too, because not like, realizing that like you could harm someone and 10 years is up and it's all good then. Like with me, right? So like, I know Rick's in jail right now, which is great. Where he should be for humans, for the world, he needs to be in jail. Because he's good at what he does, and he's going to continue to hurt. But you can outlast your crime, and if it's not prosecuted, I guess it's okay. When someone destroys your life, and you get turned upside down as a victim, I'm never going to forget that. Still, I've never hated anybody really, or wanted to harm, or like want to see someone sit in jail or burn at a stake or physically harm somebody. Rick is the one person that, it's sick, but there's evil, and that's evil, and you want to see evil destroyed. So, Rick is one of those people where I celebrate any destruction and misery that he feels is well earned from him. So he needs to sit there and really feel, hopefully he's feeling all the pain, and he can never feel the pain that he's caused me, all of his other victims. It's sad to hear it took this long, and it took you to push it, because the police and FBI didn't, right? They couldn't get it happen, so you got it done or guided them and helped them, which good that they stepped up, and good that he's finally behind bars. But this should have been, before me, he should have been in jail, but
you're right. Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you end this. I mean, you've been a fantastic, your story is so captivating. It's so interesting, and to hear that you've come out on the other side, I think it gives everybody hope, an inspiration that whatever Dugo does, he may get you down, but it's not the end of the world, and eventually you can be guided and taken under somebody else's wing and provided a new opportunity and a new lease on life. It's a real powerful message, man. I'm really proud of you. I'm going to tell this to you straight. I think you know how I got to you. I actually had heard your story probably in 2018, 2019. I was very hesitant to reach out to you because I had heard through the grapevine how intense this was for you. I was a little bit scared that bringing this up to you and kind of opening Pandora's box was going to set you in a different direction, so to speak. So, I went through your wife. I hit your wife up on Facebook on a message and asked her if I explained who I was, and I asked her if she would vouch for me and help me get to you. And I think she found what I was saying to her, and like what my goal was, to be authentic and genuine, and that's how we connected. And I'm so glad that we did, because where I was going with this is that what you don't know is, out of everybody that I've spoken to, your story was the reason why I never gave up. It just hit a place for me. I felt so bad for you and your mom and everything you guys went through. You know, early on, it was like one of the bigger victims amounts of money that, that I had known that he put you through. And it just kind of it was like the driving force. So every time I would get really down and out and frustrated with how long everything was taking, I would kind of just think about you, even though we've never met, even though I've only talked to you a few times. But you were really, your story was the driving force, which kind of I used to fuel my desire and determination to continue on with this. So I just wanted to let you know that I found inspiration in you. So
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. And I appreciate it too, because it was like, for me, it was like, turn around, don't look back. Because nothing's going to come good of me turning around at this point.
No.
It's not going to be well. And, luckily I met who I met after Rick. And luckily you bend, don't break, right? So I didn't break. I bent a lot. But yeah, and I use my story now, a toned down version of it, of what I can remember, to help others, and I use my story now of resilience, and I use my story now of better discernment, and also to kind of get younger kids on the right track so they don't make the same mistakes as I did. So I tried to turn it around, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. It was we summed it up quick, but that's all again, it's a big fog, and I spent 6-8 months. I don't know, again, the details. It's been a long time. It was a long, drawn-out process. Half of it being very good, and then a quarter of it unsure, and then that last 10% was hell.
Right.
Hell.
Yeah.
In every way. No outs, nowhere to, no clue what to do, and nothing would bring any peace. Anything that I would think of, any resolution, there was either a worse consequence for it, or it would just harm me and my mom more, or so it was like you get trapped in the funnel of leverage, fear, regret, nowhere to go, DUI, the little addiction kicking it. It was a web of just nastiness. So the best thing that I did was just go on a little bender and then go back home and just face life. And the hardest part wasn't dealing with what happened with that 6-8 months. The hardest part was the 3 years or plus afterwards, dealing with the bankruptcy, dealing with the mental games, dealing with the regret, dealing with no outs, no money, no avenue when I had it prior to meeting Rick. I was doing fine. So my sentence wasn't just the 8 months of misery or the couple months of misery and then the being bluffed on the rest of it, whatever it was. My sentence was years and years and years of recovery, not knowing what to do, fear, bad dream. This haunts you. It haunted me. So, and then what am I going to do? Because every idea in my head had greater consequences of, you got no outs. I had no leverage. And then the police aren't helping me. The FBI's not helping me. I can't, what am I going to sue? What am I going to sue? What am I going to do? Go for physical vengeance? What am I going to do? And it's not getting me back my money. And I got my mom, who's, just should have been retired with no mortgage. Now she's got a mortgage with that, can't retire, and I'm to blame. So now what? So then, I recovered, but I'll never get that money back. The hurt's always there. It did make me stronger. It made me a better business person. It gave me an opportunity to help and give to others so they don't make these mistakes. But there was misery afterwards.
Yeah, like a hangover.
The nightmare of life after leaving this con was brutal.
Yeah, it's called the Dugo hangover, man.
Yeah, is that what it is? I guess that's what it is. Yeah. and then there's no conclusion to it all. What am I going to do?
So you never, you never, I mean, okay, so I heard you say, obviously you couldn't sue him. I mean, you didn't want to just rip his head off? You just didn't want to, I
wanted to kill him.
Yeah. You're not the first. You're definitely not the last.
I'm not a violent person by nature.
Right.
And then this is going to escalate. When I was packing here's one for you. This is popular. So I had a guy, Mike Luzak, I'm into steroids and stuff, and this is now when I'm like, okay, I'm done, I'm out. I had my gun with me, and I'm loading up the truck at my house, which is around the block from Rick. And again, I don't know who's going to pull up. I don't know what's going to happen. When I've questioned Rick in the past, we got physical, So now I have this gun with me, and a car pulls up. I say, Mike, go inside. I don't know who it is. I grab the gun, I put it by my side. Guy gets out and pulls out some documentation or something. I scramble with the gun. It's a repo guy looking for my bike. I didn't know what was going on, so back to the physical or wanting to get back or kill him. Yeah, but then I'm going to jail, and now I have all this guilt of my mom. How am I going to take care of my mom? And if I go to jail, she's dead. I'm her world.
Yeah.
So, and then there's no, all the angle, the leverage, and there's nothing he gets you wrapped up to where, the problem was I let it get this far. The problem was I didn't really step back, and I wasn't looking for the right things to begin with. I was looking for partying and wealth and materialism and womenizing and, cash money rather than love and impact on the world and helping others and, true purpose in life. If I would have been looking for that and I had a little more discernment, I wasn't in such a rush, and I wasn't feeling any pressure of being incomplete with a business and looking for, I wouldn't have got myself into those shoes. But because I was vulnerable in a rush and looking for the wrong things and didn't have good discernment on what a good man is, at this time too, I'm in the bar industry, I'm living a fast life to begin with. So Rick just sped it up. Now I'm on boats and, boats and hoes, that's what you want as a young man.
Is there anything you want to finish with? I mean, do you feel like you've been able to tell? Do you feel any better? Does it feel good to tell it, front to back? Is it a cathartic thing for you?
I do share the story with people that I get close with to learn. I have a platform of people that, I'm able to influence and help, so things like that don't happen to them. So I'm able to say it there, but no, and honestly, I'm only doing this because I respect what you did. Otherwise, if you're anybody else who said, I don't want to interview, I don't want to, and I even had a dream about Rick leading up to this. So part of me was trust me, I wanted to block this out. And when I got your text and I'm like, I had other people reach out to me, I don't need I don't want your help. I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to say water out of the bridge, but I'm on a big mission now. I'm helping, I'm serving, I'm doing good things. I got a wife, I got kids. You're never going to financially recover from losing the, $150,000, whatever it was. You're never going to get that money back. But I'm secure. I'm doing good. I don't want to rehash this out. I had a dream about him. So I don't know. We'll see. It was solely to I respect what you did. Because look at me, I turned and ran, and I tried to build myself. It took me years and years to recover personally. I'm not out there trying to, I'm helping people, but I'm not rehashing this scenario. I'm not diving back into it and looking for I'm not doing what you're doing. So that's what made me say, okay. Otherwise, I told you to, I wouldn't have responded. I'm too busy.
No, I appreciate it.
I have a long drive, so I have some moments to talk with people, but I talk with other people during these times. The mentor I thought Rick was to me, I'm I'm doing that with other people, in a sense. So, to go back and to ponder this and to think about it, to rehash what I could remember at the moments. And, like I said, things repop in my head now that we talk about it. I don't know. I kind of felt better bearing it because I get like I'm angry about it,
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, it's like, I'm angry with myself.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it like from this perspective. You had to go through Rick to get to where you are today, So like if there's any like sort of like positivity to take from it, is that you're in a good place now. Things are going good for you. You got a beautiful family. You got a great wife. Things are good. This is just an interesting piece of your life that obviously you can't go back and change. You would if you could, but I mean, even if you did, then you wouldn't be where you are today. So, I definitely appreciate you having that respect for what myself and a bunch of other people were able to accomplish here. I find your story to be truly captivating. So, thank you very much for entrusting me with it. That'll probably be the last time I ask you for anything. I hope it is. But
well, if you need to, I'm more than, and if I, again, this is a more in-depth coverage of what I tell people about this scenario, because it's like I'm a new man now, and I'm moving forward. But I respect what you're doing. So if I could figure out more details or think more about it, I have no problem talking about it with you again if it's needed, and if it's going to a good scenario with you, because like I said, it's to put it's like energy management, right? So like I saw no reward and no good coming out of me putting energy towards chasing money, chasing Rick, or doing anything like that, because it takes away. You say yes to something, you say no to something else. You are putting time, treasure, talent, you're putting everything you can into this. So I'm here to support that. So if there's more that I can do, I'd be willing to do it. I just don't same thing with when you reached out to me before, if it doesn't have a result, I don't want to waste my time rehashing this, because everything else is going on in my life. But if it's going to serve a good purpose, I'm in, and I'd like to help. Come and I don't want to, and think about it, and I think you almost said it, what happened to me, will break I'm sure there's victims that have not recovered and are broken from it. It's terrible to hear. And I will say what happened to me shaped me who I am today, but I don't want to give that credit to him in general, because nothing that he has done is good. Nothing that, I spun into a new thing, but it's almost like I feel gives Rick credit for, because it hardened me and sharpened, it broke me, it bent me so much where I almost broke, but I didn't break, but it definitely reshaped me, and I pushed through it, and I made something good out of it. I don't want even that related to Rick, because there's nothing good coming out of this, him. But, there's nothing good about it in general. It's all bad. And anybody that comes in contact with him, I feel bad for, and I was told by the officer, or one of that he has a wife and kids, and that grosses me out, and I feel terrible for all of them. So, yeah, that's all I got.
I love it, man. Well, Ron, thanks a lot for your time. I do appreciate you. I respect where you're at in life, and it's one of these weird things that our paths cross because of them. But just know that I found inspiration in your story, and I think without you, I wouldn't be where I am today with all of this. So.
Thank you for listening in. You just heard episode 3, an amazingly sad tale of a victim named Ron, a guy whose story rocked me to my core, and he was one of the most compelling reasons why I went after Ricky Dugo. Ron and his mother were taken for around $1 million. The FBI was called out and promises were made that they would take action. But as you already know, the FBI chose not to pursue Ricky Dugo, and the appeal for help falls on deaf ears as, in the end, no charges were ever filed. Coming up next time, we will hear another victim who falls prey to the same car wash investment opportunity, hook, line, and sinker. Yet another young man searching for a mentor and someone worthy of looking up to.